Making headlines this hour. The president states that every citizen with a sense of patriotism should take pride in the efforts to strengthen the Moldovan military. The president emphasizes that sustainability and development should be prompted through innovations and creativity. And the Minister of Economic Development and Trade says that the United States tariff policies will not directly impact the Maldives' fish exports.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to PSM News in English with me, Idham Naim. President Dr. Mohammad Moise states that every citizen with a sense of patriotism should take pride in the government's efforts to enhance and strengthen the capabilities of the Maldivian military. He made the statement while addressing at a ceremony held to mark the 133rd anniversary of the Maldives National Defence Force (MNDF). In his address, the president said the Maldives has come this far as an independent and sovereign nation due to significant sacrifices made by Maldivian soldiers. He acknowledged that the army has time and time again worked relentlessly in the face of aggressions and threats and served the people during their times of need. Emphasizing the Army's critical role in protecting the independence and sovereignty of the country, the president said that no significant efforts had been made in recent years to improve the development and capabilities of the military. The president said that upon assuming office, he considered it as one of his foremost duties to protect the independence and sovereignty of the country and pass it on to future generations. He said that the most important partners in the efforts is the Maldivian army. The president acknowledged that while the current administration has undertaken several efforts to strengthen the military and made visible progress, the government has also been on the receiving end for criticism for these efforts. He said anyone with a sense of patriotism should feel pride in the progress made by the military. The president affirmed he would proudly continue his efforts for the development of the military. He said it is the duty of every citizen who loves the country to reject and challenge the views of those who criticize and ridicule such efforts. President Dr. Mohammad Moise articulates a sweeping vision to modernize and expand the Maldivian National Defence Force (MNDF), outlining plans to establish a unified military structure encompassing land, sea and air capabilities. The initiative, announced during the 133rd anniversary of the Maldivian military, underscores his administration's commitment to national security and economic sovereignty. In his address, President Dr. Moise underscored the critical intersection between military strength and economic stability, contending that a fortified defense framework is essential to safeguarding the nation's independence. He noted that upon assuming office, he inherited an economy in a precarious state, necessitating parallel efforts to revitalize economic growth while strengthening military capabilities. While acknowledging progress in bolstering the MNDF, the president cautioned that considerable work remains to achieve a fully integrated defense force. Taking cues from advanced military models, he reiterated his commitment to ensuring that the Maldivian armed forces attain comprehensive operational readiness across land, sea and air domains. President further addressed the Maldives' distinct geographical composition, a vast maritime expanse yet limited landmass, noting that these factors should serve as a catalyst rather than a constraint in fortifying national security. He positioned military expansion as imperative for protecting economic autonomy and preserving national sovereignty. As part of his broader military strategy, The president also pledged extensive advancements across all defense sectors, including an expansion of training facilities and increased operational capacity to ensure preparedness for evolving security challenges. President Dr. Mohammad Muiz emphasizes that sustainability and development should be promoted in the Maldives through new innovations and creativity. He made the statement in a social media post on the occasion of the World Creativity and Innovation Day.
The World Creativity and Innovation Day is celebrated by the United Nations to raise awareness of the role of creativity and innovation in advancing human development. In his message, the president said the Maldives should strive to build a nation where every child is empowered to realize their dreams and where artists and creators are able to flourish and meaningfully contribute to the advancement of the nation. He urged the public to promote innovation and creativity to achieve sustainability and progress in building the nation. Building a creative and productive generation in the Maldives and providing them with income-generating opportunities is a key policy of the government. While the government has launched a roadmap for a creative economy last year as part of this commitment, efforts are also underway to establish a supportive environment for creative industries and enabling the generation of income for Maldivian creators in foreign markets. Under these efforts, discussions on introducing PayPal services, which are currently unavailable in the Maldives, have taken place between the government and the company. Additionally, a visiting delegation from TikTok recently met with senior officials from the Ministry of Economic Development and Trade and discussed new avenues for digital monetization or revenue generation through content shared on the platform. Establishing a creator economy in the Maldives is a presidential pledge of President Muiz. The government is exploring ways for content creators to generate revenue through online platforms. Minister of Economic Development and Trade Mohammed Saeed also noted that there is a growing number of online content creators in the Maldives who could benefit from such opportunities.
President Dr. Mohammad Muiz meets with Dr. Salah bin Mohammed Al Budair, the Imam of Masjid al-Nabawi, at the President's office in a meeting that underscored the enduring ties between the Maldives and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. The visit, a first by an Imam from Masjid al-Nabawi in 4 decades, marked a significant milestone in diplomatic and spiritual relations. In his remarks, President Dr. Muiz expressed the deep honor felt by the Maldivian people in hosting Dr. Al Budair. He highlighted the historical importance of the visit, noting the substantial passage of time since the last such engagements. A statement from the President's office described the visit as a symbol of the fraternal bonds uniting the two nations. According to the statement, Dr. Al Budair conveyed his heartfelt gratitude to the Maldivian government for its gracious invitation and warm hospitality. He reaffirmed the strong relationship between the Maldives and Saudi Arabia, rooted in shared Islamic principles, and brought greetings and best wishes from King Salman bin Abdul Aziz Al Saud and Crown Prince and Prime Minister Mohammed bin Salman bin Abdul Aziz Al Saud. Discussions between the President and the Imam, according to the President's office, touched on the generous support provided by the Saudi government across various sectors, with particular emphasis on Islamic education. President Dr. Muiz expressed his appreciation for the care and hospitality extended to Maldivian pilgrims undertaking Hajj and Umrah. The meeting, attended by the Minister of Islamic Affairs Dr. Muhammad Shahim Ali Said and Senior Imam of the Islamic Center Sheikh Muhammad Latif, concluded with both leaders expressing optimism about the visit's potential to strengthen spiritual connections between the Maldives and Saudi Arabia. Minister of Economic Development and Trade Mohammed Said says that the United States tariff policies will not directly impact the Maldives' fish exports. The minister made the remarks during a press conference held at the President's office on Monday. At the press conference, the minister was asked whether the United States' new tariff policy would affect fish exports. Answering the question, the minister said the tariffs imposed by the United States on the Maldives are relatively low compared to those on other countries. The lowest tariff rate applied to Maldivian exports stands at 10%, he noted. The minister acknowledged that such economic measures taken by major global powers could affect the availability of products in the global market, thus increasing the likelihood of inflation. He noted that international experts are also monitoring the broader implications of the US tariff policy. He said the Maldivian government too is taking steps to mitigate any potential impact on the economy. The minister further noted that the free trade agreement with China and the preferential trade agreement with Turkey are also strategic steps towards economic resilience. He added that despite the challenging global situation, there has been no decline in tourist arrivals to the Maldives. Last year, the Maldives achieved its record tourism arrival goal of 2 million tourists. This year, the government aims to host 2.3 million tourists. Over 130,000 tourists have visited Maldives so far this month, according to the Ministry of Tourism. Minister of Economic Development and Trade Mohammad Saeed confirms that bunkering services will continue uninterrupted and that work is ongoing to expand port infrastructure in North. Speaking at a press conference at the President's office, Minister Saeed shared updates on key projects under the Ministry of Economic Development and Trade. He noted that international bunkering services were launched in Ihawandipur in September last year with an investment of $15 to $20 million by the government. The service is operated by State Trading Organization, STO. On the bunkering front, the minister said services are continuing and a development is underway on a dedicated port in the north to further expand operations. He said an off-port area has been established and while they have begun without a formal port, construction is now underway with the appointed company. Minister said that while STO provides bunkering services, detailed revenue figures remain with the company, but he confirmed that the income generated is significant. He also revealed that a new law on international banking is being drafted and work is ongoing to enable better access to financial support for banking service providers. The two vessels currently operated by STO are carrying approximately 4,000 tons of oil, marking a strong start to the country's energy and trade service expansion. Maldives' tourism sector continues to thrive with a notable increase in both visitor numbers and state revenue.
According to the Ministry of Tourism, 764,229 tourists visited the country as of April 19th this year, a 7.3% increase compared to 712,500 during the same period last year. In just this month alone, 131,811 tourists arrived in Maldives, up from 21.5% from 108,496 recorded in the same period last year. The ministry notes that currently over 7,000 tourists are arriving daily. This steady influx is having a direct impact on national revenue. The Ministry of Finance and Development Planning reports that in February and March alone, the government earned 3.3 billion rupiah through tourism-related taxes, a 12.4% increase compared to the same period last year. Breakdown of tourism-related tax revenue includes 3.5 billion rupiah from tourism goods and service tax, 556.9 million rupiah from green tax, 435.8 million from departure tax, 437.1 million from airport development fee. When it comes to accommodation, 70.1% of tourists stayed in resorts, 24.4% in guest houses, 3% in hotels, and 2.5% chose safari lodges. Over 200,000 tourists have visited the country in the first 3 months of 2025. The government has set a target of attracting 2.3 million tourists by the end of the year.
Share averages across major Asian indices falls following Wall Street's sharp losses overnight, with technology stocks leading the decline.
In Tokyo, index opened down negative 168.78 points, negative 0.49% at 34,111.14. The broader topics fell 0.2% to 2,523.56. South Korea's benchmark Korea Composite Stock Price Index, or KOSPI, opened down 5.03 points or 0.20% at 2,483.39 as of 12:30 GMT. In Hong Kong, the Hang Seng Index opened down 91 points or 0.43% at 21,303. U.S. stocks suffered steep losses on Monday, April 21st, as U.S. President Donald Trump ramped up his attacks on Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell, prompting investors to worry about the central bank's independence even as they grapple with the effect of Trump's ongoing erratic trade war.
Tariff uncertainty continued to weigh on Asian markets, with Japan's Nikkei ending in the red and South Korea's market posting gains. Japan's Nikkei 225 index closed down minus 450.36 points at 34,279.92 as a stronger yen weighed on exporters. In South Korea, the benchmark Korea Composite Stock Price Index (KOSPI) closed up to 0.20% at 2,488.42. South Korea and the US are due to hold trade talks this week. While US President Donald Trump has opposed some of the heftiest levies on imports, the US is also locked in a trade battle with China, the world's second largest economy, which has sent global markets into a tailspin. Locals gathered at the site of a deadly airstrike in Sana'a to assess the damage and clear the area of the rubble. According to the Houthi Health Ministry, 12 people were killed and 30 others were wounded after a U.S. airstrike hit a marketplace in Farwa, a residential neighborhood in the Yemeni capital. U.S. President Donald Trump ordered the intensification of strikes last month in the biggest U.S. military operation in the Middle East since he took office in January. Washington has vowed to keep attacking the Iran-aligned Houthis until the group halts attacks on the Red Sea shipping. The Kremlin said that the position of U.S. President Donald Trump's administration on ruling out NATO membership for Ukraine gave Moscow satisfaction, but declined to comment on Trump's hopes for a deal this week.
U.S. Envoy General Keith Kellogg said that NATO membership was off the table for Ukraine. Trump has repeatedly said previous U.S. support for Ukraine's bid to join NATO was a cause of the war. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov told reporters that they have heard from Washington at various levels that Ukraine's membership in NATO is excluded. He added that this is something that causes their satisfaction and coincides with their position. Peskov said that Ukrainian membership of the US-led alliance would pose a threat to the national interests of the Russian Federation. He added that this was, in fact, one of the root causes of the conflict. Putin has repeatedly said that Russia would be willing to end the war if Ukraine officially dropped its NATO ambitions and withdraw its troops from the entirety of the territory of 4 Ukrainian regions claimed and mostly controlled by Russia. Reuters reported on November that Putin was ready to negotiate a deal with Trump, but would refuse to make major territorial concessions and would insist Kiev abandon ambitions to join NATO. Trump said he hopes Russia and Ukraine will make a deal this week to end the conflict in Ukraine. Asked about those remarks, Peskov said he doesn't want to make any comments at this time. Kremlin spokesman further added that President Putin and Russian side remain open to seeking a peaceful settlement and that they are continuing to work with the American side, and of course they hope that this will yield results. He refused to comment directly on a Bloomberg report that US is prepared to recognize Russia's control of Crimea as part of a broader peace agreement.
Oscar Piastri won the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix to seize the lead in the Formula One World Championship from McLaren teammate Lando Norris, with his third win in 5 races.
Four-time champion Max Verstappen was runner-up 2.843 seconds behind the Australian after starting from pole at Jeddah's Corniche circuit but collecting a 5-second penalty for a first corner clash with Piastri. Charles Leclerc was third for Ferrari's first podium of the campaign, and Norris clawed his way from 10th on the grid to 4th. Victory made Piastri, triumphant in Bahrain's last weekend and China last month, the first Australian to lead the championship since his manager Mark Webber in 2010, and also the first back-to-back winner this season. He now leads Norris, whose race was heavily compromised by a crash in qualifying, by 10 points after starting the night 3 behind. Piastri has 99 points to Norris's 89 and Verstappen's 87. Champions McLaren stretched their lead over Mercedes in the constructors' standings to 77 points. George Russell was 5th for Mercedes, with Italian teammate Kimi Antonelli 6th, and 7-time world champion Lewis Hamilton 7th for Ferrari. Williams had Carlos Sainz and Alex Albon 8th and 9th, with Racing Bull's French rookie Isaac Hadjar the final point scorer in 10th. There was immediate controversy at the start as Verstappen and Piastri went side by side into the first corner, with Red Bull emerging ahead after cutting across the runoff. Stewards decided the champion was at fault and handed him the penalty, with Verstappen reacting by saying sarcastically, "Oh, that's lovely." The safety car continued a sequence of appearances at all 5 races in Saudi Arabia so far, with an appearance at the end of the opening lap after Verstappen's teammate Yuki Tsunoda and Alpine's Pierre Gasly collided and crashed. Both drivers retired, Tsunoda after getting his car back to the pits.
The challenges and lives of penguins around the world are brought to life in Secrets of the Penguins, hosted by National Geographic explorer and filmmaker Bertie Gregory, and premiering on the eve of this year's Earth Day.
The 3-part series took over 2 years to film and saw the team capture penguins, of which there are 18 different kinds, in places ranging from Cape Town to Galapagos Island to Antarctica.
I think people should watch because I have filmed penguins a lot before myself. I thought I knew penguins. I was so wrong. And every time we went out to film, we discovered literally new penguin secrets. Yeah, I'm excited to see people's minds blown like ours were in the field.
National Geographic explorer, filmmaker and host of The Secrets of the Penguins, Bertie Gregory said filming for 274 days on the Estrom ice shelf in Antarctica, home to around 20,000 emperor penguins, was both challenging and rewarding.
But yeah, in terms of the challenges, I mean, in Antarctica, emperor penguins, you know, they're the only animal in the world to raise their young during the Antarctic winter. It is the coldest, darkest, windiest place on Earth. And that's not only where they choose to live, but where they choose to have their young. And so filming that story is all about, you know, you need to be as tough as a penguin. Yeah, that was a challenge, being warm enough.
The effort paid off though when they captured footage including penguin chicks not just jumping into the sea for the first time, but having to jump off a 50-foot ice cliff first in order to get to the sea.
Yeah, the first one stepped up to the plate and went, "Yeah, I can do this," and just sailed off the cliff. And yeah, as I said, they have friendships. So as soon as the first one went, the rest were like, "Oh yeah, Barry did it. We can do it. And they all started to jump. It was an amazing moment to witness.
31-year-old Gregory, who won his first wildlife photography prize in 2012, has since gained 2 Daytime Emmy Awards for his series Animals Up Close with Bertie Gregory, and won a BAFTA Television Craft Award for his work shooting legendary naturalist David Attenborough's 7 Worlds, 1 Planet. However, he does not see himself as a possible replacement for the 98-year-old Attenborough, who is still hard at work.
People often talk about the next David Attenborough. Like he's irreplaceable. He is one of a kind. He will never be followed. Like his contribution, not just to the natural world, but to television as we know it. What an extraordinary life and career. There is no replacement, and I think people should get less obsessed with that concept and focus on, okay, what's the new path?
Voiced by American actor Blake Lively, Gregory hopes that by mixing pop culture with Secrets of Penguins, a wildlife series, it'll broaden the appeal and get a wider audience engaged with the natural world.
They're in trouble because of us, and that's not just a problem for penguins. They are kind of flagship species. They're talismans of whole wild places. They're an indicator of healthy or unhealthy wild places if they're not there. And if the natural world is unhealthy, that's a problem. We should want to look after penguins, not just because it makes us feel warm and fuzzy inside, but because we need healthy wild places for so many things we do.
Executive produced by Oscar-winning director and National Geographic explorer James Cameron, Secrets of Penguins premieres on 21st April on Disney+, while all 3 episodes air on International Earth Day, 22nd April on Nat Geo Wild.
That concludes news for now. Thank you for watching PSM News. Have a good day.